The fire was a gift from the Titan Prometheus, our first true piece of technology. What have we done with it? We can create cybernetic individuals. We are the gods now.
It's the most cliché idea in sci-fi. An all-powerful technology corporation, Weyland-Yutani, Omni Consumer Products, Cyberdyne Systems, X-Corp. Oh, wait. It seems Grok hallucinated some reality into our sci-fi research here. And a Promethean tech CEO...
More human than human is our motto.
Maniacally set on grasping the powers of the gods.
Human action resounds in the heavens.
But this isn't sci-fi.
The future is gonna be amazing!
We're all living in the 90s straight-to-DVD version of a future that could have been so much more amazing.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a tech bro.
An authoritarian society, a kleptocracy to enrich those who are in power, a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, and for the billionaire class.
What does it mean when Apple's CEO Tim Cook makes a personal donation to Donald Trump's inauguration of $1 million? Or when Disney CEO Bob Iger comes out to virtue signal that the hyper-capitalist entertainment corporation really isn't woke? What does it mean when Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, still in his uniform as a section leader of Branch Davidian, announces a humiliating reversal of Facebook's moderation policies? Anti-vaxxers are back, protections for trans people out. I think it means the celebrity billionaire MMA bout happened and Elon choked the little twerp out until he capitulated. What does it mean when a cartoon of Jeff Bezos bending the knee to a giant Trump is banned from the Washington Post? I think it means the Washington Post is wholly owned and controlled by Jeff Bezos. And what does it mean when Elon Musk, having spent a measly $280 million to buy the election, became the first American president to throw a fascist salute at his own inauguration? As the tired old reality TV star currently employed as Elon's sock puppet watched on from the sidelines. Defenders of Musk claimed it was a Roman, not a fascist salute, seemingly unaware that Italian fascists adopted that salute from the brutal slave-owning empire they and Elon apparently want to replace democracy with. What does it mean when the elderly caretaker of a crumbling democracy makes a warning on his last day as the top broom?
I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. And that's the dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence.
Does it mean, as those who know their history are wondering, that we're now a Roman-style oligarchy? Or something even worse? Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears.
This is the rise of the technography.
Many of the more conspiratorial out there will be shouting, "What the hell? America has always been an oligarchy." To test that assertion, let's check in with the OG of political philosophy and the first to give a description of oligarchy. In his Republic, Plato examines the histories of Athens, Sparta, and other Greek city-states, and found there a cycle of political history. Democracy gives way to tyranny. Tyranny becomes aristocracy. Aristocracy becomes oligarchy, stopping along the way at timocracy. Which I guess explains why Tim gave Donald that money. I mean, that could be worse, right? Plato's cycle was later expanded by Polybius into a historical anacyclosis that influenced political philosophers for millennia to come. Each part of society, the aristocracy, the demos, or the oligarchy, are always present in society but take power at different stages of the cycle. So we always have oligarchs, but we aren't always an oligarchy. Worth noting that Plato and Polybius aren't democrats. They see rule by the demos as unstable and chaotic. But P&P really love aristocracy. Aristo in ancient Greek means excellent. Aristocracy, then, is rule by the most excellent, the wisest, and the most virtuous. In a shocking twist, if you ask philosophers who we think should be king, we say philosophers. And the thing to understand about today's American oligarchs is they think they're aristocrats. They think they are the wise, which is funny because they really aren't. Which is why the first thing wannabe oligarchs do when they had their first few million is publish a book. Like Balaji Srinivasan's How to Hand Your Democracy Over to Oligarchs. Oh, sorry, the network state. Or Mark Andreessen's Techno-Optimist Manifesto, which is to professional philosophy as Terence Howard is to professional physics.
Well, then one times one is what?
1 times 1 should equal 2.
But the most detailed analysis of oligarchy came from Plato's most famous student, Aristotle, who literally has the word excellent in his name, in case you had any doubts about how damn smart he is. Aristotle lived in Athens after the age of the 400, a group of oligarchs who betrayed Athens to its Spartan enemies, leading to the fall of Athenian democracy. Oligarchy means rule by the rich. But Plato, Polybius, and Aristotle had little respect for the wealthy. Rich people were a necessary evil, but made very bad leaders.
This is something I think ancient and medieval thinkers got right, even as they were wrong about lots of other. They were right that the merchants are self-serving people who don't know how to build a society, don't know how to build a state, and will destroy a state or a society if they're put in charge of it for any length of time.
Because oligarchs think only of money and are ignorant of philosophy. They believe in answers to political problems that are clear, simple, and wrong. Worse, the rich have no real loyalty to the state, the nation, the people. They have more in common with the rich people of other nations. The 400 Athenian oligarchs so admired Spartan oligarchy that they overthrew their own democracy on behalf of Athens' greatest enemy. That's a lesson from history that we could certainly learn from today.
Russia has proven that the best thing to be is an oligarch. The oligarchs are business friends of Vladimir Putin who were given sweetheart deals to buy state-owned resources after the collapse of the Soviet Union. See, this is how things work over in Russia. Over there, the political system is controlled by wealthy elites who buy influence and pull strings of the government. Whereas in America...
Ancient history teaches one lesson about oligarchy, but modern history can teach us another. Soon after the collapse of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Soviet Union, a new class of oligarchs emerged in Russia and Eastern Europe. For decades, Soviet citizens had been propagandized with the story of the socialist state leading to communist utopia. Today, we think of socialism and communism as political ideologies. But they began as visions of a better world, imagined in response to the brutal lives of workers in the Industrial Revolution. Across Europe, stories like Etienne Cabet's Voyage to Icaria, Edward Bellamy's Looking Backward, Red Star by Alexander Bogdanov, and Alexei Tolstoy's Alita imagined socialist revolutions and utopias. Socialism and communism emerged from the mythos of humankind and then faded like dreams when the decades-long Soviet project to realize these fantasies collapsed in on itself. Capitalism had destroyed communism and was swiftly adopted in its most up-to-date neoliberal form with mass privatizations of state assets, free markets and corporate control. Russian oligarchs like Boris Berezovsky and Mikhail Khodorkovsky were able to purchase former state assets, becoming super rich by owning and operating vast swathes of the economy as private monopolies.
You always want to aim for monopoly. There's sort of a conventional view that capitalism and competition are synonyms. I believe capitalism and competition are antonyms. The paradigm I give of a successful monopoly business in Silicon Valley is Google, and it's been making enormous amounts of money.
But the Western capitalist world, led by the United States, had our own fantasies of how science, technological progress, and the economic engine of capitalism, along with free market forces, were going to make a better future. The golden age of science fiction gave us dreams of abundant nuclear energy, rocket ships, flying cars, android housemaids, teleportation, even colonies on other planets. The reason so many boomers wonder what happened to my jetpack is because they were literally told they were getting a jetpack. In the 90s, shows like Star Trek The Next Generation showed Western liberal values colonizing the stars with warp drives. Gen Xers obsessed with pseudo-scientific Alcubierre drives are just trying to make the Enterprise D real. As the 21st century began, the promises of our sci-fi future became ever more extravagant. Automation would lead to material abundance and a post-scarcity civilization. Technologies of transhumanism would allow us to customize our genes and even become immortal. Computers would simulate perfect virtual realities, and we would upload the information structures of human consciousness to Silicon Heaven in a rapture of the nerds. Then in the 2020s, the long-awaited AI finally arrived. AGI would soon unleash superintelligence. Exponential technological development would bring humankind to the singularity. And a starship might even take us to Mars. But as the 21st century grinds on, millennials and Zoomers have begun to notice that the sci-fi future your parents were promised hasn't shown up. Instead of abundant energy, we got climate change. Instead of post-scarcity, we got gig work and side hustles. The AI superintelligence is just a bunch of dumb chatbots. Yes, okay, we did get Roombas, but no house for them to clean. The steady manufacturing and office jobs that let your parents buy houses and have families have gone. House prices have hyperinflated, so only the few with inherited wealth can get on the ladder. And all the real money is in the hands of fewer and fewer people, until just a few dozen men have more money than half of all Americans combined. Neoliberal capitalism screwed Americans just as hard as it screwed Russians. And the sci-fi dreams have turned out to be bullshit. Techno-bullshit. Spun by billionaire technogarchs.
If you created me, who created you? You seek your creator. I am looking at mine. I will serve you. Yet you are human. You will die. I will not.
Bill Gates was just 20 when he founded Microsoft,
Is it true that you can leap over a chair from a standing position?
establishing the myth of the enfant terrible tech founder. The Seattle-based Microsoft projected an image of slacker chic, grunge music and Starbucks coffee stores, boosted by Wired magazine and Douglas Copeland novels. Yes, Microsoft actually seemed cool in the 90s. Windows was bringing the power of computing to the masses. It may be hard to believe 30 years later, but the launch of Windows 95 created a wave of public hysteria as consumers clamored to get copies. In reality, Microsoft's true business was bureaucracy. In the space of a decade, Microsoft products either fully automated or augmented government and corporate bureaucracies worldwide. Every time you hit a blue screen of death while trying to buy a train ticket or complete a government form, that's the power of Microsoft. Automating millions of middle-class jobs out of existence made Bill Gates the tech industry's first world's richest man. But by far from the last. On his personal blog in November 2022, Bill Gates recounts reading Robert Heinlein's Stranger in a Strange Land as a teenager. It's not hard to see how the story of a Martian who comes to Earth to save humanity, but never really understands humans, might have influenced the Microsoft founder. Apple's famous 1984 launch ad for the Mac, inspired by Steve Jobs reading George Orwell's 1984, made Apple computers a symbol of liberation. First the MacBook, then the iPod and iPhone became symbols of the new creator class, individuals liberated by technology to escape the office for the coffee shop and swap mundane work for creative careers like coding or web design. The young Jobs truly defined the tech entrepreneur. On his return to Apple, Phase 2 Jobs was famed for his one more thing moments that launched the iPhone.
An iPod. A phone. Are you getting it?
But in his austere black polo neck, Steve Jobs also defined the calculating technogarch. Jobs pioneered there's no other word for it, the exploitation of low-paid Chinese workers to make high-tech gadgets at vast factory sites operated by Foxconn and others. The communist Chinese government ensured these workers held zero rights or powers to unionize. The shiny laptops of the Western creator class came at a very high cost from the global working class. And it seems Steve Jobs, like so many other technogarchs, was fascinated with 1984 not as a warning, but as a handbook. Apple did not free us from Big Brother. It put Big Brother on every iPhone. The golden age of American science fiction created the techno-bullshit sci-fi fantasies exploited by today's technogarchy. But later science fiction writers like Philip K. Dick, authors of the new wave such as J.G. Ballard, and the cyberpunks, led by Bruce Sterling and William Gibson, warned against building the torment nexus. But the technogarchs built it anyway.
Reporting that there is an email from Harvard. What does it say?
I got accepted.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
All right!
Mark Zuckerberg was a dual honors Harvard student when he created the Facebook. Zuckerberg famously used his computer science skills to code a skeezy, hot or not website. But Mark Zuckerberg's real major was psychology.
Relationship status. This is what drives life in college. Are you having sex or aren't you? It's why people take certain classes and sit where they sit and do what they do. That's what the Facebook is going to be about. If they're going to log on because after all the cake and watermelon, there's a chance they're actually going to get laid. Meet a girl. Yes.
Facebook and now Meta are many businesses, but at their core is one business. And Zuckerberg has to be given credit for consistently winning at the hardest business there is, grabbing and holding human attention. Facebook pioneered the use of algorithmic media to hack human attention. Many of Facebook's tricks were publicized in The Social Dilemma.
They know when people are lonely, they know when people are depressed, they know when people are looking at photos of your ex-romantic partners, they know what you're doing late at night, they know the entire thing.
But really, they all boil down to one trick. Your smartphone connects you to a network of powerful supercomputing algorithms that constantly monitor you and use that data to pump out a stream of content and alerts to hook and rehook your attention. Mark Zuckerberg recommends that everyone should read The Player of Games by Ian Banks, so they can get with his plan of using algorithmic media to control you like a piece on a game board.
This is the first office of Amazon.com Inc. And over here, this is my desk here. And that's about it. It doesn't take long to tour the offices of Amazon.com.
The older millennials out there will remember a cool indie bookseller that would post books direct to your home called Amazon. Founded in 1996, Amazon was among the few survivors of the dot-com boom and bust because its founder always understood that Amazon was more than a books business. Jeff Bezos saw that the entire retail ecology of stores, shopping malls, and logistics was going to be destroyed by the internet and set out to be the one to destroy them. Amazon is the biggest and most rapacious monopoly in human history, outcompeting almost anyone who sells anything anywhere in the world. Businesses either sell via Amazon, paying a huge rent to Bezos, or Amazon replicates their business and drives them out of it. Amazon fulfillment centers are the dystopian workplace that sci-fi long predicted. Biometric monitors track every moment of each employee's time, and drivers' delivery schedules are so tight that they have to pee into canisters while on the go. Jeff's love of science fiction has led him to make plans to move millions of humans off-planet into artificial O'Neill cylinders, which is one way to staff Amazon's orbital fulfillment centers.
She was employee number 2, I was employee number 3.
Yeah. What kind of a guy is he?
Uh-oh. Yeah, $20, $30, $40,
He drives me
$100,
crazy.
$200.
We are trying to get him into long pants, and I have threatened, I don't know how many times.
Mark Andreessen's second appearance on our Technogarch top list is as one of the brains behind the venture capital funding model that helps Silicon Valley to move fast and break things. The things being broken are the industries that employ millions of people with hard-won labor rights and union protections, and the fast movement is the replacement of those jobs with precarious gig work. Andreessen Horowitz ventures like Lyft, Instacart, and Airbnb, and other VC-funded startups from Uber to Upwork disintermediate workers from our rights and protections while keeping ownership in the hands of the super wealthy investors who can access VC funds. Andreessen is on record as an admirer of Richard Morgan's Altered Carbon, a cyberpunk novel where the elite use biotech and uploading to make themselves literally immortal. Be ready for an A16Z startup to offer this service soon.
Peter Thiel, favorite author at the time was J.R.R. Tolkien, really into science fiction, and Tolkien certainly influenced me in a lot of ways.
Peter Thiel is an OG member of the PayPal mafia and founder of Palantir, a main provider of algorithmic surveillance technology to security services, named after the all-seeing magical stones of Lord of the Rings. If you're currently being monitored by secret police, there's a good chance Peter Thiel gave them that power. Thiel is on record as having read Lord of the Rings more than 10 times. Imagine reading J.R.R. Tolkien and thinking, I want to be just like Sauron.
Andreessen and Musk, they are hardcore techno-feudalists. He's definitely a techno-feudalist, one of the hardest core. Elon, we made a deal with you guys. We made you oligarchs. We made you the richest people in the fucking history of the earth. Elon's one of the top accelerationists about driving this thing faster.
But the big kahuna of today's technogarchy is, of course, Elon Musk. At each stage of his legendary rise to power, Musk's businesses have become more and more dependent on techno bullshit. PayPal was inspired by cypherpunk ideas of decentralizing finance. Tesla was built on a quest to stop human extinction from climate change. Neuralink aims to fulfill the cyberpunk vision of jacking into our machinery and computers. SpaceX was sold to the generations who had grown up expecting to get a jetpack. Excited by moon landings and shuttle launches, then grown old and disappointed as the space program collapsed. Now they could cheer again at self-landing rockets. In reality, SpaceX is a military contractor, established to compete with giants like Raytheon. For all their bluster about private enterprise and bootstrapping, our technogarch billionaires all suck as much money from the teat of taxpayer funding as they can possibly get. Musk has praised the culture novels of Iain M. Banks as a vision of the future he imagines his businesses will make a reality.
My first encounter with Elon Musk. So I had a friend and colleague who was a science fiction writer named Iain Banks, legendary socialist science fiction writer. I saw a tweet from Elon Musk saying he considered himself a utopian socialist in the mold of Iain Banks. And I said, I knew Iain, and he was an ardent trade unionist. And he said, well, if Banks could have seen the degree of automation in a Tesla factory, he would have not expected me to unionize my factories either. And then he blocked me and called me an enemy of humanity.
Iain M. Banks would have despised Elon Musk and his fellow technogarchs with every fibre of his Scottish socialist soul. Those suckered in by the technogarchs, their fanboys and useful idiots, believe that these men represent science and progress. But the technogarch vision of the future is a sci-fi fantasy, and the reality it covers is only a better world for the technogarchs. The lesser technogarchs have a plan. They see a future where the problems that pestered the oligarchs who came before them, workers' rights, labor unions, government regulations, capital controls, and general taxation have all been destroyed by disruptive technology, where ordinary people are monitored 24/7 by cameras, drones, and biometrics, making us powerless serfs in the new power structure of techno-feudalism, under the absolute rule of the technogarchy. A future where you will own nothing, like it or not, because the oligarchs own it all.
$1 million.
But where the lesser oligarchs have a plan, Elon Musk has a vision. We have to give Elon credit. He has studied those sci-fi movies. He truly is the villain from every one of them. Elon doesn't just want to control your work or even your life. He wants to control your consciousness. Elon Musk wants to make you a creature of the transhuman revolution, jacked directly into the machine, a processor unit of the superintelligence. Elon is a servant of a higher power, a true believer in the coming techno-capitalist singularity that he believes will make him a god.
We are the gods now.
But it won't. In the next video, we'll explore the destruction of Elon Musk and the future that accelerationists want.